Hey, how's it going, everyone? All right, so today is going to be a little bit of a reaction style video, me talking about a very popular drug on the market, GLP-1 drugs. I've actually gotten a couple messages from a couple of you all, and if you do want me to cover a specific topic, definitely drop a comment down below as well too. If you are from the polycystic kidney disease community, I got a bunch of really good playlists also in the description of this video. A lot of these videos are on this channel and also on another channel of mine as well, but everything is pretty much in two playlists that I pretty much have running right now. But I've gotten some messages talking about GLP drugs, really giving my opinion on them. I am a very big advocator of Mother Nature. Almost, honestly, it feels like yesterday, May of 2024, when I embarked on a self-healing journey, I got handed a bottle of high blood pressure medication, and I chose not to take it, and I chose to change my diet, start exercising again. I saw my BP go from the 140s, 90s. In 2 weeks, I was in the 120s, the 80s. Then 2 weeks later, I was well below 120 over 80. I definitely had secondary hypertension, though. Very high sodium diet. Yes, sodium, salt, very important. But when you're living on a high processed food diet along with a high sugar diet, the sodium is going to be way too much. Way too much. I'm talking about like 6-7 grams, 6,000, 7,000 mg of sodium compared to like maybe 2 or 3 grams of potassium. That is very, very deadly for PKD, let alone is very deadly, especially for anyone, even if you don't have PKD. That's what happens when you live on a processed food diet. Okay, so GLP-1 drugs is very popular right now. It's definitely very much being pushed. And a lot of people are being told that they're a magical drug for weight loss, type 2 diabetes. The side effects are really minimal. You're going to feel great. You're going to look great. Don't worry. You can continue eating and doing unhealthy things because we got a drug for you, right? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a dietitian, but I do believe in a thing called freedom of speech until Big Pharma pretty much comes after me and silences me. So what do GLP-1 drugs do in a nutshell? And by all means, if you are unsure about something that I say in any videos of mine, I'm not God. I don't have any divine power. Unlike a lot of other people that will tell you to trust them, I'll tell you to trust and put your faith into God. Fact check me. If you are unsure of something that I'm saying, fact check me. If you are unsure about living on a high processed food diet, that it's okay, well, look it up. You know, look at the information, because the last time I checked, you should be having more potassium than sodium. But there are some fanatics out there that are addicted to processed food that will tell you that, hey, you know, it doesn't matter, man. We can eat factory food all day long. It doesn't matter. Water, cheers. Those people just want to continue living unhealthy. They're going to lead you down a very feel-good path. And yes, there are doctors and dietitians that do eat like shit. So you got to remember that as well. Okay, so GLP-1 drugs. Let's go ahead and read this. Mimic a natural gut hormone to help control blood sugar. And I'll go ahead and say this again. Help control blood sugar. What does that sound like? I've heard that before from somewhere. Let's just continue reading. Help control blood sugar in type 2 diabetes. I've heard something else reverses type 2 diabetes. I can't remember what it is, but I'm pretty sure Dr. Ken Berry and Dr. Eric Berg has talked about how to reverse type 2 diabetes with no drugs and promote significant weight loss. There's something else that does weight loss for you as well besides taking a drug. Weight loss by slowing stomach emptying, reducing appetite. This doesn't really seem like a natural process if you really think about it, but okay, let's go ahead and control it. And signaling fullness to the brain, leading to reduced calorie intake and improved glucose levels. I know I've heard of something that improves your glucose level. What is it, huh? They work by stimulating insulin release, suppressing glucagon, and delaying gastric emptying with some newer versions targeting GIP receptors for even greater effect, and also showing benefits for heart health and fatty liver disease. How they work: insulin, increase insulin, decrease glucagon, slow digestion, reduce appetite. Key uses are for type 2 diabetes, weight loss, cardiovascular health, and other conditions such as fatty liver, sleep apnea, and potentially addiction. This obviously comes probably from like food addiction, maybe sugar addiction as well too. Definitely honing like different types of receptors is really what I'm kind of really getting from this. Okay, so it's kind of really humorous because what does all this stuff kind of sound like in a nutshell? Well, in a nutshell, it kind of sounds like, oh yeah, it mimics a ketogenic diet. I know I've heard of this stuff before, right? So GLP-1 drugs do not directly cause nutritional ketosis like a ketogenic diet, but they mimic some of the metabolical effects by reducing appetite. You get rid of the carbs. You're not going to be hungry because you're going to be replacing it with fat and more protein. You increase your protein slightly, you increase the fat a lot instead of the carbs. Your body runs on fat. You're not gonna be spiking your blood sugar to constantly be hungry. Lowering insulin levels, slowing digestion to promote significant weight loss, all in a natural ketogenic diet. While keto shifts metabolism to fat burning through low carb intake, GLP-1 use hormonal signaling to reduce caloric intake. So what this means is that you can essentially take a drug and continue living on factory-made food, but you're just going to lose weight because your blood sugars are going to be controlled. Let's see. Appetite and safety, insulin resistance. Yep. Appetite, not safety, is safety, but does take safety in consideration here. Being satisfied with your appetite. Pretty much taking from this include both approaches, including GLP-1 drugs, Ozempic, this other one, and a long-term ketogenic diet are highly effective at curbing hunger, insulin resistance. Both can significantly improve insulin resistance. Mechanism difference: a keto diet changes the fuel source, aka ketones, which is natural. GLP-1, you can still burn blood sugar and still eat factory-made food, but you are going to essentially alter the way your body is working primarily. Synergy and risks. So this is one that I do really have a lot of questions as just an average Joe around. Combining both can lead to accelerated weight loss, but it is advised to proceed with caution due to potential for excess, rapid weight loss, nutrient deficiencies, extreme fatigue. I have actually talked to some people that have said that their doctor would prefer them on a GLP-1 drug rather than a ketogenic diet. In my own personal opinion, I think honestly maybe it's time to find a new doctor because your diet matters more than you being on drugs. And a ketogenic diet, well, it does all these things in a natural style of living. It doesn't make your body pretty much do any hormonal shifts per se artificially. It does it naturally. So this is something that everyone should always be aware of. And of course, doctors probably won't really go over this with patients. But this is something really to take in consideration, especially whenever starting a new medication. What are the side effects? So the side effects could be nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, constipation, stomach pain. Sounds pretty scary in my own personal opinion. Let's see. Intestines side effects: vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, bloating, gas, indigestion, abdominal pain, heartburn, fatigue, headache, dizziness, increased heart rate, injection site redness, itching. Let's see. All these things sound crazy. How many of these people actually experience side effects? From what we're told, it's a very small percent. But still, if you really think about it, how many side effects come from being on a low carb ketogenic diet? I mean, side effects you could have is definitely withdrawal symptoms from high sugar addiction. Yeah. You could be very fatigued, very moody for a while because your body's adjusting from factory made food to Mother Nature. So that could definitely be a side effect. Your LDL could definitely go up, and it could definitely be LDL. I'm really hoping HHS, especially Make America Healthy Again, let alone make the world healthy again, really changes the BS guidelines regarding LDL, because I really do think it's probably a time to be addressed here. But my own personal opinion about GLP-1 drugs, if you are on the fence about taking them, I mean, look, ultimately it's your body. You make your own choices about what you want to do with them. But if I had the choice between taking a GLP-1 drug or going on a low-carb ketogenic or a no-carb carnivore diet, well, I've already done both those two things, and I'm still living the lifestyle, very much carnivore base. So, yeah, I'm not going to be choosing a drug type option. I know my body very well. All the times that I've taken drugs before, I've always had side effects, and I'm not the only one out there. I've always had side effects, always have had side effects. I know that my body does not do well on drugs. And getting a medication, you are taking a drug. You got to say for what it is. If this upsets you, hey, it's the truth. These things are made for profits. But to really wrap things up, what my honest opinion is, if you are fighting so many different things, if you're fighting obesity, if you're fighting insulin resistance, if you're fighting cardiovascular disease, if you're fighting just numerous, and then you throw in polycystic kidney disease, maybe liver disease, fatty liver disease has severely progressed. You really got to take in consideration altering what you're putting in your body, because a lot of these drugs, they literally, they allow you to somewhat get a mimic state of a ketogenic diet, but you're eating factory made food. You're eating food that is high in sugar, carbs, additives. You're eating food that is processed, and these drugs are made to keep you eating unhealthy. That's what these drugs are made for. If you think I'm totally dead wrong, well, definitely let me know down below. I would love to hear your opinion. But I mean, as for a low carb ketogenic diet, you're going to be getting all the same effects, but in a very much Mother Nature way of things. You're not going to be continuing to eat unhealthy. You're going to improve your blood sugar levels. You're going to improve your insulin levels. You're going to murder your insulin levels, which is really good, especially if you're a snacker all the time. You're going to be less hungry because you get rid of carbs and a lot of the sugar. If you want a sweet treat snack, you can make homemade ice cream, real ice cream. So that's really my 2-cent opinion about GLP-1 drugs. Me personally, I'm never going to be going on these things. I'd rather just alter my diet. And I've said this before in other videos for PKD. I really don't care if there's something magical that comes out here in the future, and it's like, hey, there's a new drug for PKD that does not work like can't remember the name of the one off the top of my head. It begins with a T or a J. I honestly think it's the same name. But there is one drug for PKD. It is overwhelmingly expensive. Most insurances can't even pay for it. And the side effects are utterly brutal for you. And they do not have shown to reverse PKD like a ketogenic diet can really do. Can they slow down the cyst progression? They've been shown to really have studies around slowing them down, but do you know what else slows down the cyst progression in polycystic kidney disease? Being on a low-carb ketogenic or a no-carb carnivore diet. So you got to take that in consideration. Hopefully this video puts a lot of motivation into people that are definitely living this lifestyle. We are living on a non-factory made food lifestyle. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely, if your doctor is definitely like kind of maybe pressuring you into this, you got to be vocal about what you're doing. I'm definitely vocal to my insurance doctors significantly, and they have seen my progress in almost 2 years. And I mean, the progress is pretty straightforward. It really is. All right. Hopefully that wraps up today's video. Like I said, if you want me to cover a different topic area, definitely let me know down below in a comment. And I'm going to be putting out some ketogenic guides relatively soon about foods to really have on a low-carb standard ketogenic diet. I hate to break it to some people, but it's not going to be keto snacks, keto bricks, keto ice cream. It's going to be whole foods. Real food, not factory processed food. Food from Mother Nature. So stay tuned for that content soon. Hopefully everyone's doing great. Like I said, love you all and later.